Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to go into the parts specifically and kind of break them down, all the parts that were played in How He Loves. Just to go back to a point of reference, we're in the time signature 6/8 and we're playing the song at 152 BPM. There's basically 3 grooves in this song and I'm going to break them all down, and then I'm also going to kind of tell you the thesis behind all of the fills and transitions that get us from section to section in the song. So the first thing that happens in the song is it's opened up by the drum groove, and this is it basically in its full tilt. I'm not playing to the click, this is just open air. Here you go, this is it. So that's the basic groove. But that's a great groove for especially new drummers, just to be able to practice your right hand to right foot independence. What I mean by independence is sometimes as drummers we get locked in when our kick pattern doesn't hit with our right or left hand. And this is pretty good because if you break it down, the first one hits with it, but the third one doesn't. Right? That happers on the uptick just between eighth notes, on that 16th between. So the thing I would encourage you to do with this is just don't veer from it. That's the groove, play that groove. Talked a little bit in the previous video about why to keep that thesis going, but I'm gonna break this groove down just a little bit slower in case you're having a tough time with its syncopation. The hi-hat is just eighth notes, but I would encourage you to accent your hats, right? I'm not going like this. They're not all even in volume. So I'm hitting pretty hard when the snare comes down, and there's a slight accent that kind of goes like that. If I don't accent it, I just chop it, this is what it feels like. I mean, that's just ugly. It doesn't work, and there's zero invitation to play along because you're taking up all the dynamic space with just one hand. So I'm gonna break down kick and snare a little bit slower. What the kick pattern is doing is, see how first 2 hit with the drum and the third one not? Or with your right hand, I mean. And just practicing that right hand, right foot independence, you can do that seriously, like if you're into gaming, like you can do that while you're playing a game. You can do that if you're watching football. Like honestly, I learned how to play a lot of instruments just watching television because it was a good way for my mind to detach from what my body was doing. So, I'd encourage you, man, just grab a practice pad, and while you're watching anything on television or listening to podcasts or whatever, practice foot to hand independence. And this is a real easy one to practice, and this and other grooves. So now we're gonna add the hand, your snare, which is a basic, 6/8 pattern that we're playing. And I would just encourage you, man, play that groove over and over and just develop that pocket, develop the accent between all of your foot and hand independence. Now, as the song progresses, it's not till about 2 or 2.5 minutes in that we have a change in this groove. And what's gonna happen is the kick is going to change up where it's placed while the hands stay the same. And that shift of the kick pattern corresponds to, I don't have time to maintain these regrets, right? And that's the line just before the chorus. It's kind of the pre-chorus a little bit. And the worship leader has ramped up the melody, which kind of gives you some permission to let your kick pedal provide some gas. And this is how that's gonna go. We go from this groove. Just breaking it down slower. But man, I'll tell you, when you listen to that in the track and when you do that live, you will feel the whole room jump in excitement, because as drummers, we have the ability to telegraph to everybody, hey guys, a change is coming. And you'll hear me talk about this in a lot of the tutorials for drums. You'll hear it like an announcement. We call it an announcement, a commercial break from the groove to let everybody know after the commercial, there's a new segment of the program coming, right? That's basically what we do with drum fills, and that's what we do with changes in our kick pattern. So again, we're going from the change in the kick pattern, super subtle, but difficult. If you can master it, good on you. You're gonna change that kick pattern, then you're gonna give a cymbal snare pop that kind of announces some high-end excitement that's different. Then you're gonna build into that 16th note fill coming out. Right? That's it. Snare, 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 tom, 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 crash. That's it. You go from that into section 2, which is the chorus. The first chorus we do without an actual subdivided groove, and we go more to this like open kind of almost like a classic rock moment, for lack of a better term, where it's like just the drums, you know, and the crowd like goes back. It's hilarious, but it works so darn good. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit toms and kick together, and then go to a snare flam. I'm not gonna break that one down super slow, but the one thing I will say is you don't wanna hit both sticks at the same time. You wanna practice your flams, because again, 2 sticks hitting at the same time will actually choke the air. Okay, now we're gonna go to the groove that's played in the last chorus and the outro. So we've gone from the toms and the flam. We're gonna go to a build transition using the ride cymbal for some like extra excitement in the high end to go with the snare. And then we'll give a fill out of it that's exactly the same fill that went into the tom and flam moment. We'll use the same fill out to go to an open hat hi-hat groove with just a little bit more syncopation out of our kick drum to kind of bring up the dynamic in the song. So here we go. This is how it goes. I'm gonna break it down just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is tom flam into spank the cymbal and snare together, and then build on the cymbal and snare to create some high-end excitement that kind of excites the room and lets everybody know that things are getting, you know, more energetic, right? And then go to your fill around. So I'm gonna break it down slow. Now, one thing I want to tell you that I'm doing during my build and I'm doing during my fill is I'm keeping my kick drum going the same way out of that build. If you drop your kick drum during the fill after keeping it going during a build, you actually feel a lack of intensity in your fill going into the groove. When we get to the open hat groove, we're not going to drop our foot off the pedal totally, which would... Instead, we're going to just slightly toe up the hi-hat pedal so that it kind of becomes this. A lot different. Here's the difference. If you fully drop your foot off the hi-hat, what's going to happen is you're going to lose the definition in your eighth notes, and you don't want to do that. But the sloshy hat, so the open hat that's slightly open, is going to provide like a little bit more high-end wash than a closed hat does. Now the other difference is now the kick pattern has another kick drum hit, so there's 4 per phrase. Right? So that basic interchange is going to happen only on that. When I just played it for you, I didn't open up the hats. Here's how it sounds. I'm also going to put a little bit of a mid stutter in the groove just to make sure that the last chorus feels bigger than the flammed chorus and bigger than the channels and the first verse. cha-cha-doom. That little thing's super subtle, and if it's a little bit above your skill set, you don't have to use it. All you need to do is just play the straight chorus groove, and that will get you to the end of the song and make everything feel really great serving the vocal. We've put all this together for you in the play along, and you can see how all the parts work together there, and play along with the track with me.